I'm Krystal Blackard.
And I'm Lindsay Reynolds.
We're seekers of truth, willing to ask the hard questions and cut through the industry smoke.
On Simplified Success, the podcast, we strip sales and marketing down to what actually works, front end to back end, so you can scale without the burnout.
Because real growth isn't just about numbers. It's about optimizing how your business runs so you can grow yourself, grow your paycheck, grow your team, and grow your leadership.
And most importantly, making it all happen without the fluff or the chaos.
This is Simplified Success.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to the podcast. Depending on when you're watching this or listening to this, maybe you've been binging us for the last few days because we officially launched in the official reality of realness. We're like still like in the middle of the giveaways, still in the middle of the launch when we're recording this. So like all the energies, but we're really excited to be back. My voice is funny because I went on this amazing trip a friend of mine invited me on, and it was like so fun, except for it was like what can go wrong shall. The entire trip, it was insane. And so I ended up sick on part of the trip. And man, my voice is just still not 100%. I don't really know. I still have this like, I've had some people tell me that it sounds like I should be like a kindergarten teacher, or I should start like an ASMR channel, because I sound like very just like calming and relaxing, which is hilarious because I think I just sound weird. But maybe that's like another income stream. I can just start talking on ASMR YouTube. I hear that pays well.
Okay, there's that.
It's better than
That's
selling.
not an announcement, by the way.
You have an announcement?
No, I said that's not an announcement.
Oh, no, not an announcement. Sorry, I was like, what's your announcement?
No, that's not an announcement.
I was like, you didn't even tell me that before we jumped on. You have something new to share?
No.
Yeah, not selling feet, not selling my voice yet.
Okay, can I like squirrel off of that really quickly?
Please.
You know,
the podcast is for all the squirreling. If you don't want to squirrel, go in the. We don't squirrel too much in the in the Simplified Success community. If you want us to be on point, you should head over there. But the podcast is going to be all the squirrels.
Well, since you mentioned that, like, last year, I rolled up a course on how to go viral, 6 steps to go viral, right? Content to creator. And we have that in our paid community, by the way, if you want to snag it. But anyways, I shared a lot of there about my viral moments and my viral content. Well, one time I was creating this video, and if you followed any of my virality, it included my kids and their salty attitudes, because that's what my audience loved anyways, and I correlated it back to how I make sales, whatnot. But in one of the videos, we were doing something, and we were just in the house, so I was barefoot. Jeans, t-shirt, no thing, That video went viral, but I had tons of people wanting to buy feet pics, and I was like, note to self. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I know I've shared it on a couple of things in the Simplified Success community, but note to self. Put shoes on in your content, because the world we're living in today, you can't show it barefoot.
Apparently it'll be a way for you to whole other revenue stream.
Well, if you choose that, but my feet are just PG. We're just gonna keep it that way, My feet
I don't
are
really understand, like, I mean, and like to each their own, I guess. But like, I don't really understand the feed thing. I don't get it.
I don't either, but it was
in the category of things Lindsay doesn't understand, which there are.
It was really awkward and uncomfortable, but it was funny. I mean, my assistant and my adult children got a big kick out of it. As you do, because when you are growing a following and you are, looking at virality, you sometimes have weird people say weird things to you. It's just part of it. So,
well, and the tricky thing about, like, we've talked about virality, like kind of going down the rabbit hole, I guess, but you talk about virality, and like, it's interesting because generally the things that go viral are like entertainment driven, because people are entertained by whatever it is, or they're funny or something like that. And they very rarely have anything directly to do with your core content or what you're doing. And so that's why it's like so important to have the other mechanisms set up appropriately, where you have like, because that's like, so we were talking about C.A.F.E today anyways, but like that's really about getting people to stop the scroll. But once they say they like you and they go ahead and follow you, it's really important to have the next step set up appropriately, because even though that direct video, although you don't really want people who are wanting to buy feet pics following your content, because that's not in alignment with what you sell.
Not at all.
The other people who ended up following you because of those viral videos
Right.
did end up falling into, your invitation and then being part of your owned platform, which then gave you the opportunity to build a relationship, which
Right.
then turned into, you had something for them. Not just,
Right.
and I think that's the thing about sales people forget. I was having this conversation with Krystal's, someone in Krystal's family. I'm not going to call her out. Someone in Krystal's family. I'm going to be very vague. So she listens to this. She knows who I'm talking about. But there's lots of women in Krystal's family, so it could be anybody that I'm talking about. We were having this conversation about her being uncomfortable with sales, and I was like, yeah, but the thing that you happen to sell, because the thing that this person happens to sell is something that really adds value for people and really helps people if it's the right thing for them. It's not a cheap thing. It's definitely an investment, but it does something really incredible for those that are in the situation where they need this product or this service.
Right.
And I told her, I was like, you're not actually selling, you're actually helping people. And so like your inability to be comfortable with quote unquote sales is actually the thing that's going to keep you from helping people. And the thing that you do is helping people. And so it's like, you have to remember, like, we're very comfortable with that language. Like we both are very business minded. We've read enough business books. Like I'm very comfortable with saying we're selling things. Like that doesn't really bother me. But I don't,
When we've actually sold things.
I've sold a lot of things, but I think the
Because
part,
caveat, you can read the books and not be good at selling things.
100%.
I have people that I've coached in the last decade. Like, well, I've read the books. I'm like, well, go
Right.
make the skill. Then they're like, I this happened. Then you're not. So anyway,
Right.
well,
But I think the part that you can know the steps, but if you have this part tangled up in your brain where you
Right.
think you're actually selling something, like we call it sales because to us, we know sales is synonymous with adding value and doing something great and making your life better. Those are synonymous in our brain. So when I say I'm going to help sell something in my brain, I genuinely don't sell things I don't believe in that I don't think add value for somebody. And so by default, when we're selling, we're adding value, we're making your life better, we're solving a problem for somebody.
Correct.
And so I think for us, like when we say sales, I want to be clear because I think sometimes people hear sales and they think skeezy sales, manipulation, all of that. I don't think that's even remotely, well, I know that's not remotely anything we ever do, but I think it's really important for you to understand that if you've taken your time, energy, and gifts to build a thing, whether you've created a physical product, whether you've created a digital product, whether you are the product and you're selling your knowledge set, you have done a thing and you're offering to help solve a problem, add value for somebody else at a price, that is actually service.
Well, correct.
And so, and
Correct.
yeah, and I know we weren't going to go on this, but we'll just tangent. Like, I think it's really
Well-
important for you to understand, especially as you're preparing to go through. We'll talk about C.A.F.E in a second, and it can sound, if you are trying to trick people into something that isn't going to add value, it will sound like what we're saying is very manipulative, and it's really not. Like what we're doing is we're helping create an environment that allows people to find a solution to their problem, and for the problem to be very clear for them, give them parts of the solution and elements that really help add immense amounts of value for them, and then set them up to be prepared for whatever it is that you're offering at a paid level. And so I think it's important as you're walking through untangling this whole sales is skeezy, I don't want to sell, I don't want people to feel like I'm trying to sell to them. I think it's a really big reframe of, the whole virality piece is getting the attention to get people to stop the scroll so that they can find you, because what you have created and what you have to offer will solve their problem and make their life easier. The part that's tough about virality is very rarely are they correlated directly. Like a super viral video is probably not the thing that's you talking directly about the thing that adds value or solves a problem. It could be, but very rarely. Most of the viral video, and if you take any viral video content training, like Krystal said, we have some, all of that. It's very much about stopping the scroll, entertainment, like that whole piece. But it works fantastic when you have something like C.A.F.E in place, because then you get to do that and you get to add the value. You get to do the other pieces.
Let me speak to that for a second.
Yeah.
Okay, so something to note, okay? Because I'm very black and white. Lindsay likes to make things in pretty little bows, but I'm just gonna go straight for the jugular here. Because if you think sales are sleazy, then you're probably on the wrong podcast. Because sales, okay, let me break this down. When people are like, I share things, I'm like, no, you sell. If you are in the social selling space, you need to be okay with the fact that you sell things. You need to own that and walk in it. One of my biggest pet peeves is when people are like, I don't sell, I share. I'm like, well, that's why you're going broke sharing. Let me be very clear here. There are about 8 billion people in the world. Okay? 16% of the 8 billion people actually claim to sell, be good at sales, and like sales. So what does that say? That says that there is a very large amount, 84% of the world do not like sales and do not enjoy sales and do not own sales. So that means that for us 16%, there is a huge opportunity. If you will just get on board, be okay with it, learn how to do it. It's very methodical. It's not hard. It's one of the simplest things you'll ever learn. But the ones who aren't afraid of it are the ones who are going to soar. Okay? And understand that. Because when we go into the C.A.F.E method, one of the biggest things that, like, as we've been deep diving into it in the free community and in the paid community, is people's fear around it. And I can sit here and I can see two groups of people. There are people who are not afraid of it. They will go full-fledged into it, head first. They will do the things. They will be messy with it, and they will make the money with it. You almost have to become relentless in the pursuit of just doing it. And that is the nuance of sales. Everybody wants like this magic formula. There's not. You just have to do it. But the really cool thing is, a very minuscule percent of the world's population even claim to care enough about it to own it and want to do it. And you guys, every single person in the world is a consumer. We all buy something. So if there's only 16% of people who claim to even like to sell, then you have 84% of the world's population, 8.23 billion. Those are pretty good statistics.
Well, and I think if you're stuck on it, we'll walk you through. So C.A.F.E is our framework. We created it. There's a billion different ways to look at this. We find that when working with clients, it's really helpful to have unified language. So we created our version of this. We think it's pretty dang good. We think it's really easy to follow. And we'll walk you guys through. It's just like a really easy framework.
It's the sales framework. I mean, you can say it in different ways, but it's 100%. A simplified sales framework that brings people in. Now, there's a lot more to it than just making the sale, and that's the nuance that I think Lindsay is really. If I were to put words in your mouth, I feel like that's where you really push hard. Is you can't stand the cringy salesperson.
Yeah, and that's where I think I want to be clear. Like, and that's where for me, like I don't like to be sold to. I like to be served well.
Correct.
And there's a big difference.
Correct.
And I think you can be really you can be fantastic at adding value for people and serving them well and make a lot of money in sales without having to sell. That makes sense.
Correct. I think
you're selling, but not in the way that I think most people define that by, in like this gross skeezy kind of way.
Well, I think it goes back to the used car salesman with the tie that's too short and like the bullets of sweat hanging off of him and the deodorant it stains.
Feeling like you're getting screwed.
Right. And you're paying $5,000 more for a car that you don't even really know if you need. So, okay. So I think that's the thing about
the connotation.
But let's just be super clear here. Like, let's take back 5,000 feet, because before COVID hit, those kinds of sales mechanisms actually work to some degree.
Yeah. Depending on what you're selling. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, they did. And I didn't doing that. Yeah. But post-COVID, there has been a radical shift. And if you don't learn how to do it in an elevated fashion, everything is about the value add. For sure. Everything you do today, if you'll do it without the expectation of any reciprocity, I mean, seriously, if you'll bring in your mindset about sales, closing the deal, where you're serving and you're showing up and you're doing your part and you're putting the offers out there, right? And you're not putting it contingent, then people will give back to you all day long. It's when people feel like you're trying to take that they quit trying to show up and they don't want to buy from you. And if you can learn that, and if you can master that, then you will never run out of opportunities.
100%. And that's why we built the C.A.F.E method, was to make it really clear for people. Excuse me, how to.
Sorry, I'm really passionate about this. I don't know if you can tell.
Yeah, we both are. And it's interesting because we're passionate about different parts of it.
We are. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'm going to let you talk about the C, because the C is something that is like your thing. Like, that is, Krystal is like, she'll go toe to toe with you. I'll go toe to toe with you between the A and the F, but she'll go toe to toe with you between the C and the
Yeah.
E. Hey,
I remember
it's
hearing
C-A-F-E,
everybody's like,
C-A-F-E.
I'm AF.
Yeah.
C-A-F.
Yeah, pretty much though. Like the A and the F, like I will go hard, but Krystal is like all about the C and the E. So I'm gonna let you kick off this C about C.A.F.E. So C.A.F.E. is our framework. We're gonna walk y'all through it at a high level. If you want
Yeah.
to deep dive, go in the community. We did like a intensive training. We have a whole analysis workbook you can do to see where you're at. Like we have all that in the community. So get in the community for that. But we're gonna give you like a high level view because we talk about it all the time, and we felt like we needed to give you guys like a high level in the podcast, so that way when we're talking about it later, you're not like, whoa, what's the definition of that? Why are you
Right.
talking about a coffee shop? I mean, neither one of us own a coffee shop, although I would love to at some point because I so enjoy coffee shops. But
Lindsay makes the best coffee at her house.
I do.
And
I
we were
love
taking me to
it.
some really. So Lindsay and I were just. We've traveled the world together.
we have.
Lindsay might be the most fun human to travel with because it's
I don't know.
amazing.
Even when I'm sick. No, I'm just kidding.
It's amazing. I love that she's one of my best friends. It's so much fun to get to do life with her.
Remember the time that we traveled? We were going across. So we were on a train from this toy driver, I think, from Seattle to Vancouver, BC.
Yep.
And little known fact. So if somebody like affects the train, it's actual federal land. So somebody was like homeless or something and was like trying to get on the train or something.
Homeless and naked.
Yeah, it was like trying to get on the train for some reason. I don't know. When we were like en route. And so they ended up having to stop the train. Well, the FBI had to come because it's federal land. And so like we were there like in the middle of the night for like, was it the middle of the night? It feels like it was like
in the middle
really
of the
late.
night, and it was
Yeah,
cold.
for like hours trying to get there. It was so funny. I was like, so like little known fact, if you're on federal land, the
we were
FBI in
snuggled
fact
up
has to
together,
come.
remember? Because we were cold. We were like
We
snuggled.
were cold. It was a very cold train.
If you go on a train, bring lots of jackets and
Bring a
blankets.
jacket. Yeah, that was a good learning lesson. It
Yeah.
was really fun though. It was cool.
It was a lot of fun. It was so much
Yeah.
fun. Yeah.
Sorry.
no,
So the C. Sorry, the C.
No, the C. Okay, so this is the connect piece, you guys. So let me just scale this back. So Lindsay and I have everything to us is very. We live in like the life of similes and metaphors. Like everything is very metaphorical for us. We like see things, visualization, or alliteration. So we were talking about this, and Lindsay's like, "We've just got to get people in the store." And so we sat there and talked, and pretty much it was like, it's a coffee shop. We got to get you in our coffee shop so you can get our coffee. You can come sit down, get the things, get the loyalty points, blah, blah, blah. We keep you in our system, right? Okay, so that's where this came to be. So then we were like, what's a 4-letter word for coffee? And we're like, cafe. Anyways, it was a lot of fun. So just telling you how we got there because I think, Lindsay, honestly, I think part of the stories of what we do and how we get there are very important to note because we are literally just two girls who sit here and think through a lot of these things and have a lot of fun doing it, okay? And then they work. So fun nuance.
Pretty much. And we try to make it really simple and like something.
We try to make it simple and we try to break
correlate
it down.
it back to real life. Like when you take when you go to online business, people get all weird and you get all confused and it's like lead gen and you're like, what are you even talking about? And so this is like back to like, how does your life function? You've been doing this your entire life. You have a friend, like one friend. If you have one friend, you have followed this entire platform, this entire model we're about to walk through. Like it's not complicated, but it gets complicated when you apply it to business sometimes. And so we're like, no, stop it. Just stop it.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So basically, the connect piece is figuring out who you are trying to talk to, okay, and how you're getting to stop the scroll. So in 2025, right now, we're in year 2025. We're going in 26 pretty quick. You've got 3 seconds to stop the scroll. So you got to know who you're talking to, and you got to know what's going to stop them and get their attention. Hence, I go back to the fact that I was making content with my adult children because I was targeting moms and I was targeting women my age, okay, because I knew that was my audience. And women my age can connect with funny, sarcastic content about their adult teenage children. Like, it's just funny. Hashtag 90s baby, hashtag, or 90s kid, 80s baby, whatever, all those things, right? That was like my niche because I knew that those women would come into my ecosystem and they would want what I have because a lot of them are looking for online businesses and I knew I could facilitate and serve them there very, very well. But we had to have a connection point, okay? So the connection isn't always about your business. It's not always about like you barfing everything you do in your business to people. Sometimes it's just truly, authentically about being a real human and making a connection, okay? I cannot scream that loud enough. Mm-hmm. Not always, and everybody's a little bit different, and that's why if you're seriously wanting to dive into this a little deeper, TBA is such a great place for you because we help you figure that out, and we've got trained bots that help you riff through that and figure out who you're talking to, okay? So then it's really, really important to figure out, after you figure out who you're talking to, what kind of content is that consumer wanting to consume, right? And then what's the easiest point from bringing value to getting them into your ecosystem to where you guys have something to connect about, talk about, and then it pulls you into being able to make an offer. You got to think about all these things. It's really not hard. It's very strategic, but it's very, very important. Okay. Then you focus on one of the 4 E's: entertain, inspire, educate, empower. Did I say that one? I don't know. There's 4. And because that's the kind of content people are they're gonna come to consume. Now, I will tell you, on social media, I'm entertaining. I just am. I'm funny. I put sarcastic things out there. I'm not afraid to be a little bit like bold. I'm not afraid to be a little sarcastic, and I'm not afraid to step on toes. I would say Lindsay is
who you are.
correct as a human in
Who you
general.
are. Yeah.
Correct.
Your social media front face is an extension of actually who you are.
Correct. Exactly. And Lindsay, I would say if she was going to go on there, Lindsay's a little bit more quiet than I am on socials, but she's very much an educator. Very much an educator. Very much like if she's going to put something out
Not
there.
that entertaining. I don't really want to be that entertaining. I would much rather just teach you a thing.
You are very interesting. You're educational because you're so highly intelligent. Okay, so just case in point, Lindsay and I are yin and yang, but we have completely different like styles of how we would draw people in. Okay, does that make sense? And so that's what it's all about. The connection is like what, and this is what I want to challenge you to do today. If you're listening to this, if you are having trouble and people are ghosting you, and people are not responding to your content, go look at your social media and go read it. Is there any value, or is it all me centric? Look at me, look at my job, look at my life, look how great my business is, look how much money I'm making, look at me. You ever heard that song when we talk about me? Okay, if your socials scream, it's all about me, people aren't gonna be attracted to that. They're gonna be like, her again. Okay.
Well, and that's like a good point. Like we have the audit in there.
Yeah.
Like if your fault, like the whole point of this step, that like the deliverable, what you're trying to do is get people to like and follow you. That's all. It's all vanity metrics in this particular section. And so if you are having a ton of people like and follow you, or you're getting really good engagement, you're probably doing this well. If you're not getting a lot of followers and you're not getting a lot of engagement, this is probably a place where you need to spend some time and energy, kind of diving in. That's why we like how we built this. It's like it's really clear from an audit
If you're
perspective.
getting the same ones over and over and
Right. It's time to expand. And so I think but the metric of success of this particular of the C is likes, follows, comments, engagement. That's the metric of success in this step. But that does not get you paid. And that's why it's really important that you continue through the cafe. Because
people stay there.
Yeah. And I mean, I know a lot of people who have significant followings that don't have, when I say get you paid, serve your clients well, get them into your offers, all of that. Like you have to have all of the letters set up appropriately in a really strategic way for it to all flow. But this first part is super important because this is your ability to get people to like if this is real life, you're standing out front of your store with a sandwich sign. And like, this is the way your store looks. So like when I drive by, what do I see in the window when I walk by? Like, what are the pictures like? What's the vibe? What's the brand? What are the colors?
Right.
Like, is it like, it's all the things that attract you to a thing. Like I was walking through yesterday, we got to a birthday party early and we were walking through the shopping center. And it was a Sunday. Where I live, everything is closed on Sunday. So we ended up walking down to the only thing open, which was the tea place, which if you don't live near a tea center, I am so sorry for you. But we were walking down to the tea place and every single place was closed. So I couldn't go in to see them. All I could see was what was on the outside. And we walked by a tea place on the way to the tea place that was open, but their branding and their vibe did not bring me in. They were a tea place that had a bunch of pictures of waffles, which is cool if they do waffles. I mean, that's fine. But like the whole point being like, this is real life too. Like, so if you're trying to think about how this correlates, like your front face of your brand, the way it looks, the colors, the fonts, the logo, the consistency, whether it's entertaining, all those things, those all come to whether or not somebody's going to stop walking down the street, AKA stop scrolling, like, follow, walk in the store. So I want to make sure you guys understand the correlation here. It's the same thing if you meet a person, like you look at them and you're like, they might be my friend. I might like them. Unfortunately, we're just wired this way. You are attracted to things that are similar to you, or that things that you feel safe in, right? And so like if someone dresses similar to you, you're like, oh, maybe we'll be friends. I don't know. You're connecting with them in a way because of how they look and how they speak and what they do. You end up, it's just the way we are, because that's just how human nature is structured. So it's important to think about how, like, auditing how it's going. And we have a full workbook that will teach you how to audit through this if you go into the community to see where you're at. And then we built a very extensive workbook to fix the things that's in TBA, but that's a separate Team Builder Academy, which is a separate thing. You can read about both of those if you just go to our website. But okay, so once you get them to stop the scroll, like, follow, engage, then what?
Then you've got to attract them into your ecosystem. And this is so important. And Lindsay, this is where I kind of want you to go on a tangent. Okay?
Yeah, I get on tangents on this.
Okay, yeah, please do. This
Yeah.
is important. This is so important. So let me set you up here, okay? Let me set you up. Most social sellers think that if they grow a following and they have followers and they're getting engagement, that they will be able to just put sales content out there and make sales. And that works to a degree. I'm not going to say it doesn't.
Oh, for sure.
It does. I've made money doing that. You've made money doing this.
Yeah.
However, if you're doing it like that, you own nothing. Literally. And this is where the attract is so important. So, Lindsay, please take it away.
So this is something I get really passionate about. So if I go into a passionate rage, not rage, that's too strong. Rant is probably more of a correct adjective, or verb, I guess. Or rant's probably a verb. So okay, when we think about, leaving the example I just gave, walking down the street. When I'm walking down the street, right? That's public land, right? And so unless I actually walk into your store or am on your owned land, you don't own me. You don't have any way to contact me. If I walked by and was interested in that waffle, there's no way for you to let me know the waffle's on sale or that you got new waffles. There's no way for you to communicate with me unless I walk inside and have engaged with your business in some way. And so in a digital space, the way that looks is you offering something of value, attracting them into your owned ecosystem. I can't say this enough. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Pinterest, all of those places are borrowed real estate. They're fantastic. They are part of your business. You need to use them. You need to use them well. But your goal when you are using them needs to be connecting with people and attracting them into your owned real estate. That is the only goal. So when you're using it, it's like, hey, I'm out here. Let's be friends. Awesome. You like me. You're attracted to me in some way. Now come over here into my owned real estate so that if TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, any of those, Pinterest, YouTube, changes the algorithm and or goes away altogether, I still have a way to reach out to you. I still have a way to build a relationship with you. Because like, think about it in real life. Like if let's say I meet Krystal, this is a bad example because that's not how we met, but actually this is a great example. I met this girl, she was selling like incredible baked goods in Amarillo. So good. I met her on Facebook. At this point, like when I met her, I ordered some of her baked goods. We went off of Facebook into texting, which was extremely brilliant on her behalf. And now her and I engage through text message. So if Facebook goes away, or I can't find that post, or I can't find that thing, I have her phone number. I can search bread, because that's what I was buying from her, some blintzes and some really fantastic. It was so good. I can search my text messages and find her, right? So she has access to contact me directly without having to go through any other pieces. Now, that particular way to do that is a very manual way to do that, and I would not recommend doing that at scale. But it's a great way functionally to get somebody off of social media. So in her case, she was literally selling an actual product and I had to actually drive to her house. So that made sense in that context. But when we're talking about how this works in a larger scale, is that you need to have something of value that you are offering.
Wait a minute. I need you to add in a couple more pieces to this because there's a couple things. So I also want you to talk about not only social media, but in the way other companies, sometimes we put all of our contacts and all of our eggs in certain baskets. I need you to explain, I need you to unpack this a little bit. And then I also need you to unpack why, you can have a list of people's emails. Like say you have a Google Doc with people's emails in it, right?
Yeah, but that's not going to work either.
Okay, so talk to
Yeah.
that because look, people don't understand this, and
Yeah,
I
I'm with you.
super guilty about this, but you do. So dive into that.
Yeah, so two things. So one, if you happen to do some sort of social selling and you are essentially, so we love social selling. We think network marketing and social selling is a great way to learn how to run a business. It's fantastic. It's very lucrative. There's a lot of great things about doing that. There's different ways to do it, but that's a different podcast. But the concept of whenever you have somebody, let's say you go out and you sell this product and then they sign up, but it's within a platform that is owned by your company. Okay, so let's say you sell a supplement. I was going to use that for easy. A supplement. You sell a supplement on behalf of this organization. That you have a network marketing MLM team, or you're just an affiliate. Either way, you sell that item on behalf of them through some sort of special link, and it downloads into your back office or into their platform. That is not your own real estate. They can take that away immediately. I mean, I've heard more than one company in the last year that has just flat changed their model and taken away all of that. So all the work that you did to build that value, build that relationship, you don't have a way to contact that person anymore without going back to the beginning, which is incredibly difficult to do. The other flip side is if you're not using the right platform in order to do this, and people are not opting in through an domain approved fashion, which is mainly just using a system. We have one that we recommend, but I mean, any system. If you try to just push their emails in manually, you will get put on the naughty list on the planet. Your domain will be really, really bad and everything will go to spam. And so it just like the internet's trying to, those systems are trying to protect people from being spammed. So if you do not go through the correct process in order to have them join your email list, join your text list, you will actually end up getting I think it's called white label, whatever, bad. You'll get put in the bad list. I can't remember the technical term, not that it really matters. We'll blacklist it. You'll get blacklisted. It'll go straight to the spam folder. And when that happens, it'll start bouncing your emails is what it's called. And so then your emails won't go through. So it's a really big problem. And if you're going to change platforms, please, 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 do that with a strategy. Do not just take their emails and push them over to a different domain and think that's not going to just jack up your entire life. Right. We can go more in detail. Actually, I'm going to be talking a lot about this next month in the community, as we're going to be going into like the deep dive of how you actually implement this, like step by step. So what we've been talking about this month in the community is like the philosophy, the concept, what we're kind of a little bit what we're talking about today. Mm-hmm. Next month, we're going to be diving into like how you fundamentally, based on your audit, how you fundamentally start fixing where you have some gaps in your business. Right. But yeah, so it's really important that you, once they've, know, like, and trust you on the front side, they've said, yeah, I think you're funny. I think you're smart. I think your content's engaging. You need to have something of value that continues down the path, that invites them into a platform that you own. So the platform we've decided to partner with a multi-billion-dollar organization and white label a version of their software that we call Simply Optimize. It's all in one. It's fantastic. You can read about it on our website. I've done, prior to having this software, we had 8 softwares that we tied together in one to make all of the same things work. You can do it with 8 different softwares, but it's important that you make sure that you have one that allows you to scale and that you verify as you scale what the pricing looks like, because it can get really expensive in a hurry. So, excuse me. So in this attract step, which is the second step, you need to give them something of value. It can be a checklist. It can be a guide. It could be a video training. It could be a private podcast. It could be anything that is only accessible providing they go through this step of giving you their contact information. It's also super important as you're doing this to collect both their text, their phone numbers, and their emails. And the reason why that's important is when you have both, you have the ability to communicate with them in different ways, which means you can also communicate in a different fashion depending on what platform you're using. So very rarely is our text messages the same thing as what we do in our emails, because a text message is a far more intimate way to communicate with somebody. And we have more than one client, actually with someone I was just talking to recently, that they have a very specific strategy they plan to implement where their texting is more of like, hey, how are you? It's like them really wanting to communicate, and their email is more of where they do education, value, campaigns, things like that. And so you can build this strategy, but that's getting into the fostering phase, and we'll talk about that in a second, which is my other favorite part. But like in real life, this is kind of like that, hey, you met somebody, through a friend, and you're like, hey, I saw you, we were similar, we kind of hit it off. Can we get phone numbers? Let's like, continue on this friendship in a non-weird way, right? It's the same thing as in real life. Like, so it doesn't have to be weird. It's just on the digital space, you're going to offer something of value that honestly people would normally pay for. This should not be something skeezy. This should not be like a checklist with 4 items on it that they could have Googled. This needs to showcase the incredible value of what you have. And this is where sales can become service, right? Like our opt-ins, like if you go look at our attract items, you can go onto our website, you can go download them. Our C.A.F.E method audit is extensive. It's a multiple page document that if you go through it, you will 1000% have more clarity in your business. Another one of ours that we have out there, our forgiveness journal. If you go through that process, it is curated on purpose, intentional, in order to help you through blocks that are keeping you from being able to run your life, your relationships, and your business the way that you want. If you take that seriously and you use that journal, you will 100% see a difference in your life.
Absolutely.
We don't give out things, and that's the one thing you have to be really careful about, because that can degrade your brand. Like you need to attract them in with something that otherwise would cost money. It is of high value. It is of high service, and you are helping these people through a problem to a solution. Is it the full solution of everything that you offer and all of the services you do? No, not remotely even close. But it is a meaty, really valuable, really cool thing that will help them from a problem to a solution, which then brings you into the next step. Once they're in your email list, once they're in your text group, you get to do my favorite part, which is where you get to build a real relationship with these people. And I think a lot of people make the mistake of once they're on your email list, you just start selling. You just campaign after campaign after campaign after campaign. And that's like the digital version of being a skeezy salesperson, I think, and where I think people get weirded out by sales. And we are very adamant. I'm sorry, go ahead.
It's where they unsubscribe.
Totally where they unsubscribe. So
here's the 2 thing. Here's what I want to add this in.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Lindsay and I didn't get good at this because we did it perfectly. We got good at this because we failed miserably, figured it out, regrouped, and came back. Okay, so I want to call that.
And
out.
we also we use mentorship and research, and we use mentorship, tons of mentorship.
Exactly.
So that's why you borrow our 10,000 hours. Don't figure this out on your own.
Exactly. And so this is very, very important to know. Also, to just for people sitting here who are more probably conditioned to think like I do. I know that this sounds like a lot, but I promise you, if you take the time, well, it's true.
I know it does.
I mean, we're calling things out boldly here. We debunk a lot here. I'm just gonna put it out there. This does sound like a lot, and I completely understand that. If you will take the time now to start putting it into place, tiny bit by tiny bit by tiny bit by tiny bit, every single day, over the next 6 months, you will have completely changed the trajectory of your business, the protection of all of your digital assets, your network, because your network of people is your net worth. And things can slip away in a blink of an eye. And so I want to put that out there because I know like sometimes when we talk to really, really highly intelligent people like Lindsay, it's like, oh, this sounds like a lot. No, don't be scared. It's totally doable, and that's what I want to call out here. Okay, go ahead, Lindsay. Sorry.
Well, and it's a huge risk if you're not. I mean, like my whole background is risk management, and
Right.
It is such a risk to run your business on borrowed real estate, and it is such a risk to not serve well. Like if you can serve well and you can love on people and you can help them through a problem for free in the right way, it changes the way they engage with you and the rest of everything. And it creates those raving fans, loyal people who, regardless of what you sell, they trust you because they know you help them through a problem. And like I think I made a joke on I think it was on the podcast about selling socks or something. Like it wouldn't. I'm not saying that we could sell anything. I'm saying that if we were going to sell a sock, it would solve a huge problem with socks. Otherwise, we wouldn't do it. And so and actually, I could think of some problems we could solve with socks, but I just don't know that I want to get into manufacturing. But like the whole concept of like, if you are serving people well and your heart comes from serving and solving problems and helping other people to solve whatever it is that's holding them back in whatever category you're doing, you will see a huge shift in how people show up. And it's like Krystal said, this is a marathon, not a sprint. Because building lasting relationships does not happen overnight. And it's the same thing about the friendships that you have, the most important friendships you have. Did you meet them last week? The ride or die people that you call the flat tire people that you call in the middle of the night. Did you meet them last week or did you meet them like 17 years ago? Absolutely. And I think that's so important for you to recognize is that you see people that do turn businesses really fast, and that's great. And I've seen a lot of people who've built and made a lot of money really fast, and then they end up hitting a plateau because they didn't do this step. They didn't build that relationship. They didn't serve well. They just sold while they could. And that's a strategy, but just recognize what you're giving up when you take that. It's a risk. And to me, risk management is not doing something. It's recognizing where there could be a fault, recognizing where it could go wrong, and either accepting that risk or mitigating it to the best point that you can. And when we talk about the risk of like someone else owning all of your contacts and owning all of your network, that's a huge risk that you need to mitigate. You can't accept that. That's just not an acceptable thing. You need to take control of that in a way that serves you, serves your business, and protects everything that you're creating, and protects your clients. Like the people that have said they want to be in your space, like they are trusting you, and you have something to offer them. And if they can't find you, and if you can't find them, they may end up getting that service from someone else that is not as high quality, that isn't there to serve them. So it's almost like a disservice if you're not doing this well, because then somebody could end up paying. I mean, I have heard so many people go through coaching courses of things that we teach and that for so much more money and not get the results. And I'm not saying that, and that's not me throwing rocks at anybody. There's some amazing coaches out there, amazing mentors. If we're not your vibe, please go find them, because there are some amazing people who can help you. But to me, it would be outside of what we were called to do. We were built with this skill set to not go out and help, like, serve well, and be an example of serving well.
Right.
So we're at like 40 minutes. Should we pause and go to the next episode, or should we just keep rolling?
Let's do episode 2. Catch the rest of C.A.F.E on the next episode.
Okay. So we will go into the rest of C.A.F.E. If we don't have to leave you on a cliffhanger, you can go download it. You can go in the community. You can go start diving in. So if you want to go dive in more to this right now, go join the community. Download our C.A.F.E framework. You can download it straight from our website, and start doing your audit. And then when the next podcast drops, you can hear us riff about F&E, which is like actually like the most fun to me, because that's where you get to like really start building relationships with people. And it starts to really become something of like real, but yeah, so, stay tuned for the next podcast. Anything you want to say in closing before we jump?
No, I'm excited to keep rolling with this. Just lit up about it. So also, we have software. Just a quick shameless plug.
Oh yeah, SO.
We have software if we can help you.
This is the reason why Krystal's saying that is like we talk about it a lot, but like we feel like we talk about it a lot, but clearly not, because sometimes we have clients. They're like, "What software do you recommend?" We're like, "The one we partnered with, because it's the best."
Of course. Why? Because we can control it, and we can make sure that it's really set up very, very, very integral for you.
Yeah. So check it out on our website. We have a whole part about the software we've partnered with. We branded it as Simply Optimize, because we believe that it is simply optimizing your entire business. And we like to come up with our own brands because we think it's important.
And we're teaching you how to put it together right now in our free community, so it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then we also offer systems where we'll just do it all for you if that's something that you just prefer not to. You want to use our strategy and you want to borrow 10,000 hours, and you also don't want to have to, you just want it to be turned on for you. Obviously, there's some work you have to do in it, but we'll do all of it for you. So, yeah. Well, we will see you guys on the next podcast. Have a good day. Bye.
If today's conversation helped you see your business more clearly, make sure you hit follow so that you don't miss an episode.
And if you're ready for more support, join us inside the free Simplified Success community. It's where we share resources, strategies, connections, and you really get to hang out with a lot of cool other growth-minded entrepreneurs.
Simplify your strategy, multiply your results, and make it happen. This is Simplified Success.